Hey everyone, this is Mr. Everything, and I wanted to do a video on the interior of my 2004 Grand Marquis. This is about as good of a detail as I can do to an interior. And outside, the exterior, this car looks awful. It's an outdoor daily driver with white paint, and we know Ford can't mix white paint to save their lives, so it's peeling, and it just looks bad. So we're just going to show the interior, which is the one thing I am still proud of, and maybe just update a few little things I've done with my car that I think make it look nice if you'd want to try it with yours. Now it's a bit windy outside, so I'm trying to do a little more inside, but if I try and get some better angles, just hopefully that won't pick up too much on camera. Now this is a GS model, and that's one way to tell is they have the badge here. And there's really not much difference aside you get the leather seats. So it's kind of more like the base model, but there's really no difference. It's the same engine and everything. Another GS things, it's painted color matched. And then on the front doors, you get that little branding. I think that's kind of like how the Lincolns are. Mine was like that when I got it. It was kind of already corroded, but it's not bad. And not sure how well that's going to pick up. I figured it'd be better with the sunshade in. When I got this car, it didn't have factory floor mats in it, so I bought these so they don't match, but they have the embroidery on them, which is kind of nice. I assume they were new old stock. They were only like $30, which is pretty good considering cheap Walmart ones are usually at least $15 for a pair. So that looks pretty nice. And the leather is in decent shape, being a 16-year-old car. Most of this I think was done from the previous owner, but it is starting to split there. I cleaned it with just regular wipes when I first got it, but then when I wanted to do a good job, I got Griot's interior spray, scrubbed it really good with a brush on a cloth to really help get it exfoliated. Then I used the Griot's Leather Care, not the 3-in-1 and not the Rejuvenator, but the middle one. It's like a paste. It was really hard to put on and left if you really wanted to saturate it, a couple coats to get it to absorb in. It did soften it up. I did that for 2 years. Now I'm just using Meguiar's Gold Class spray, which I just did about a month ago, and it's still holding up nicely. And these all pretty much lift up. That's just how it is. You can get those on Amazon. They're fairly cheap. They're really thin, and it just naturally sticks to it. Makes it so much more comfortable. I wanted to put one here for my knee, but it would look kind of tacky. I don't know. It depends where your knee's at. Sometimes it doesn't hurt as much. Now this car does have power driver seats, but not passenger, and doesn't have a fuel cap release. It's just the manual on this car. The power pedals are actually broken. I think there's a plastic gear that breaks, but they're the whole way back. I think they might have worked when I got it, or they work like a little bit. This isn't a nice leather wrap steering wheel, so I put this generic Walmart one. I think all Walmarts sell this, so it matches pretty good, and I do like the little wood strip. It's not like those big ugly fake ones. It's just a nice little accent. I'm still working with the factory radio. I had a Pioneer touchscreen from my last car, which is about the easiest install ever. Obviously, if you know anything about this car, it's pretty hard to get a double DIN, and you have to Dremel. And then this one has some different connectors. I think this car was wired for a CD changer and a sub, because there was 3 plugs on the back of it, but this car doesn't have that. It just must have the wiring. And I wasn't sure how to convert that over, and I think when my dad was looking at the pins and everything with the harness compared to this radio, that things weren't matching up, and I decided I almost never use the radio, and it pretty much has everything. I guess it would help if the car was on, but I don't really need to turn it on. It has CD, cassette, radio, mute, which I don't know. But the only problem is that if it had an aux port on it, it would be perfect. because this was like the high end, so it isn't that bad. I just have a cassette adapter, and with the headphone jack I kind of have it tucked away. And then I recently switched to this to mount my phone on, but I'm recording on it so it just magnetically holds there. I used to have a stand with a little mount that I made that just kind of pinched in there. I just keep my little change and knickknacks. It's obviously not a smoker, so it's perfect shape. I hate these, they're not very good, but I much prefer the Lincolns that have the nice fold out, but whatever. And I keep my little air freshener, which I didn't even use until I started using the Griots leather, because that stuff was so strong. These cars naturally smell good once any cleaner or anything wears off. So I don't like them up here, so I just hang it off the cup holder so it's out of the way. A lot of times I like to lean, this is way too low, so I got this with just a generic China thing. It's one of the better ones I've ever had. It's really good memory foam. It's held up well over 2 years. Starting to discolor a bit, and it has good straps. Keep that little seatbelt tucked away, but it's all nice and clean. There's nothing. Yeah, I have so much. I put like so many extra things in this car compared to before, just my other cars, because there's so much room. Really nothing to note here, just everything works. I kind of like that. And with these cars you get the little double thing, so brag on that. And I'm not sure if having the sunshade out really affects the exposure much, but dash is still in good shape. Now in my case, I have a radar detector, and I hardwired it, and then this rear view mirror, dash cam front and back. I really like that. I recently got it. If I'm not an idiot, I'll add a card in. I really like this. It's pretty nice. That doesn't actually flicker. That's just the camera picking that up. So it's a good setup. And then you have, if I put it in reverse, but you can just do it manually too. You get the backup view. And then how I did all my hard wiring is just an ATA circuit. With the radar detector, it was just a straight deal. With the other thing, I had to redo it, and I added a 12-volt female hard wire. So that's what this one's much thicker. There's not much room to work with here, but so now I have two things going in that hard wire. And you have to cut out these little, I guess, backing plates that hold the fuses tight to fit that ATA circuit. Now, this was obviously before I had a Dremel tool, so I had to just kind of clip it out with some dikes and then some pliers, try and twist it off. But you have plenty of fuses to work with, so I assume they were all equipped for the police package if necessary. And then both the front and rear seats have the lumbar air bladder, which I don't use. I don't find it comfortable, but it is there. And again, you can see I detail it the whole way around. There's no decoration on those. And these are the factory rear mats that it did come with, so I guess that would be what the front ones would look like if it had them. And as far as I can tell, the back seat's probably never really been used. And then cup holders, but there's no pass through here unless I guess you wanted to punch through it and put a giant hole in it. And then that's where I keep the sunshade when it's not in the window. And then I have these map things packed because there's just so much space in this car, you might as well carry everything you own in it. But it's pretty clean, solid looking, I think. Personally, I don't find there to be a ton of leg room. I'm about 6'2", though. I guess if you move the seat up, but compared to the, I think 88 my grandpa had, and then I think a 92, these obviously were shortened up a little bit for this generation. But I don't plan on sitting back here, and I almost never use it as a passenger car aside from up front. And headliners, in good shape, no sagging, no marks. I converted this car to LEDs. Can't see it in the daytime really, but it makes a big difference. It's so cheap to do. Now, as far as products go, I've always used Armor All. I just use the cleaning wipes, go over it, do the whole car, then I go start again with I like to use the Ultra Shine. I'm not sure if they're any better, but that's what I use. Just the regular, either those or the Ultra Shine, not the scented kind or anything. And then again, the last time I used Meguiar's gold glass on this. I haven't done the windows. I just did the Armor All interior about a month ago, so I like to let it sit for a while because sometimes it'll fog up the windows, and then I will do them after. And usually you think you do a good job on the windows, and then they look absolutely horrible at night. So if I get them once good, as long as they don't gas off too much, I'll let it go 6 months, sometimes do a year. And one thing with the Armor All, once I get a used car, because that's always what I get obviously, I go over it really good, and you have to do it maybe every 6 months, but once you get it clean, it pretty much stays clean. Now I only find myself doing the interior maybe every 18 months to 24 months, 2 years. I might do some touch-ups, but it stays clean, and just regular vacuuming. I guess I can do the trunk too, because that's kind of interior. I always wanted to keep it cooler. I couldn't do that in other cars, but in this car I still have a ton of room. And if I need to haul something big, I can just fold this up and put the cooler in the back seat. I made this. I'm not sure how these are supposed to work. Maybe they are supposed to go that way. But because they have anchor points here, but none here. And I don't know how well this will pick up. I just got a bungee cord and hooked it in the little gap there, and then ran it. So if I have like any tall groceries, it kind of helps, but I don't know, it's kind of in the way too. And then this car just has the compact spare. I've looked in the junkyard. I'm not going to buy one because they cost way too much, but if I could find a nice one in a junkyard or something, I'd probably change it. And again, plenty of space for storage. And then I put a carpet, just a cheap area rug, and some grippy stuff. This is like the only Grand Marquis, aside from like an excellent condition one, that I've ever seen that was just a used one, that the isn't just like all filthy. It looked like they butchered a cow back here, so that's very nice. I'm not sure who this will appeal to, just people that like to see a detailed car, or maybe just Panther platform enthusiasts. But these cars are definitely a lot of work, the size of them, but hopefully you found that interesting. Again, it's mostly Armor All on the plastic and vinyl, Griots and Meguiar's on the leather, vacuum on the carpet, and I did spill a little pop once, I think like right there, and I found that just the regular Resolve cleaner worked better than anything I've ever tried before, and it smells better than some of the cheaper automotive carpet cleaners. So pretty much everything in the interior is still pretty good, aside from just, I don't think the cruise control works. Some of the LEDs and the control panel there don't work. Power pedals don't work, but I think compared to the exterior of the car, it still would pass as really, really good shape. So hopefully you found that interesting. If I can ever get the exterior redone to look as nice as the interior, I would show that too. But hopefully you found that interesting. It might motivate you to what you could do with yours, or just see what a good detail job looks like. So thanks for watching, and you see me in the next one. Have a good one.